Hi everybody, I'm Mike McCrory, and this is my daughter Kat, and this is Would You Make It? So Kat has a glass coffee table top without a base, and she needs a base for it, so that's what we're going to make today. She's going to do all the work, I'm just going to watch. So let's get started. We're going to cut all the pieces to be 3 inches wide, so she's setting up the fence to be 3 inches away from the blade. We're going to make the whole project out of a half sheet of plywood that I had left over from another project.
Show her how strong I am.
And now we're going to cut 4 3-inch wide strips, so really we're only using a little bit more than 1/4 of a sheet of plywood. This is her first time using any of my tools, and she got the hang of it pretty quickly. Now we're going to change the blade in the table saw, moving from a rip blade to a cross-cut blade. There you go. You got it.
How do you?
And now you can just do it with your fingers.
Scary. Now what?
Now take off this little metal stabilizing plate. And then pull the blade off.
Doesn't matter which one.
Yeah, it does matter. It might be backwards right now.
This way.
There you go. Yeah, so you have the teeth coming around at the top. So I'll help bring this over because it's a little heavy. Now let's grab a tape measure and a pencil.
There's the pencil here. Where are you at?
I always lose the pencil. Right here. Okay, you want to raise the blade up? You have to turn that crank. That's good. So grab one piece. And we're going to cut it into manageable sizes. This is just the first cut. And the first one's going to be 52 inches long. Okay, so measure from that end, 52 inches. The table's going to be 17 inches high, and so that's why we need to cut 17-inch pieces. And put a tick mark right up near the front here. Okay. There you go. Okay, and we'll put the pencil over here. Now line up that tick mark here. Push this forward. And you want it on the right side of the blade. Doesn't have to be exact because this is just a first rough cut. The reason we're doing these rough cuts first is we want these long strips to be more manageable, so we're cutting them into shorter pieces. I forgot to tell her to hold down the piece while she was cutting it, but a good way to learn is by learning from your own mistakes, so she'll know better for next time. The glass tabletop is 36 inches in diameter, so we're going to cut the horizontal pieces to be 27 inches. So right now Kat is ripping a piece that's 55 inches, a little bit more than twice 27 inches, and that way it's more manageable, and then in the next cut she can cut them into 27-inch pieces. Okay, so now that we've got the first rough cut done, now we want to measure and cut 4 pieces that are 17 inches long because the table is going to be 17 inches high. And so the way to do that so that everything's cut the same length, is you want to put a block here. And we'll push this up. And we want to set it so that it's exactly 17 inches from the blade. And it doesn't really matter if it's exactly 17 inches, as long as they're all the same. That's what's important. We'll try to get it close, okay? So we'll set that there. I had to put a voice filter on here, so that's why my voice sounds a little weird. And that was to filter out those bird chirps that were extremely loud, and they were chirping at about 2.5 kilohertz. That's 52 inches. So we should be able to get, we should be able to get 3 pieces that are 17 inches long.
Should I measure it just in case?
Measure what?
I guess you know.
Maybe after our first cut we'll measure it just to confirm, because if we make a mistake we can fix it now.
Ready?
Yep. We're making 2 legs that are 17 inches tall, and each leg is going to have 2 pieces glued together, so that's why we need 4. You can measure that.
You found me.
I did, finally. How was it?
Perfect.
Perfect? All right. So now let's do 3 more.
Still a little too long.
We want it to be too long because we're going to cut it now to the right length.
Oh, yeah, good. Do I just hold it?
You're right. We're wasting 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Right.
I have to cut this one.
I've got your British accent question on video now.
Do you have to cut this one? What are you making?
A table.
What? What kind of table?
This part of the video is a little noisier because the boyfriend's in the back of the workshop working on a knife handle, and he's in the process of sanding it. Each of the 2 legs is going to have 4 pieces of plywood glued together, and the 2 pieces in the center will be 17 inches long, the total height of the leg. The outside pieces will be 14 inches because there will be a 3-inch horizontal piece of plywood sitting on top of those. Next, we're going to cut the 27-inch pieces, and that's wider than the back fence of my crosscut sled. So I've clamped a piece of wood to the back fence to extend it, and that will enable me to put a stop block further out. Now the 3rd leg is going to be a little different. Its total height is also going to be 17 inches, but it's going to be cut into 2 halves. And now it's time to glue up the 3 legs. So she's using a roller to apply the glue, and then we'll clamp them up. And hopefully it's becoming a little clearer now. You can see where those 3-inch horizontal pieces are going to sit on the shoulders of this leg piece. And we let those sit overnight.
Okay, now that the pieces are all glued up, let's take them over to the jointer.
Okay, so now that's right, you want to push that through. You want to flatten the bottom, get it straight and flat. And so what you want to do is push this tight against the side. Not only are we going to make it flat, we're we're going to make it a right angle. Okay, so we're going to push that against the side, run it through here. Watch your fingers, keep them at the top. Run it all the way through, and we'll do that until the bottom is flat. Okay? There's the switch right there. So as I mentioned to Kat, the purpose of the jointer is to make the bottom flat and perpendicular to the side. Right. So now that you've got one side flat, we want to get the other side parallel to that and also flat. So you're going to run it through the planer. Now, one of the problems with the planer, or one of the issues you can face, is when you feed it through, you're going to get a little gouge here. And one of the ways I found to help avoid that is to lift it up a little bit as you're starting to feed it through, and then let it go. And then for these other pieces, we're going to feed them right behind at the same time. That way you won't get, that's what they call snipe. You won't get that snipe here. Okay? So you feed this one through, and then feed the other ones, and I'll pull them out the other end. Cool. Okay, so we're going to put a hole in here, and we're going to put a hole in here. And then these two are going to stand up with a dowel in there that we're going to make, and that way they can rotate. Okay? So we need to find the center of this, and the way to do that is just to draw a straight line from one corner to the next. Okay? From that corner and that corner, and that'll be the center. And you might want to be just a little bit to this side of the corner because the pencil lead has a little bit of thickness. So just a hair to one side. It's never going to be perfect, but it's going to be close. Okay. Is it dark enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the same on the other side. And right where your finger was is where you need it straight. Yep. Perfect. Move over to the drill press. That's the top, right? And then we're going to set this and we'll go down maybe 2 inches. Okay? And I'm going to tighten this. And then when it stops, it doesn't let you go anymore, that's 2 inches. And now she's drilling with a 1 5/8 inch Forstner bit. And I'm helping to hold the piece just to prevent it from spinning around. We didn't take the time to clamp it. Nice hole. And now we're going to do the same thing again.
Manly. For my Manly woodworking project for my Canadian fellows.
Alright, we haven't made the dowel yet for these 2 pieces. That's going to stick it together, but we can still glue it up. So we'll put that on the bottom, and we'll put this piece over here. And we'll put this piece here like that. And we'll put this piece over here. And let's see, does it all go together? Bring that a little closer. Somewhere about there, okay. And then this piece is going to go under there. And then we'll sand it and round it, make it look kind of cool. Okay, so let's glue it up. Okay, so let's set this back up here. Put this piece over there. That's just to help get it lined up for clamping. Back, 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 back. Oops. Now we can take this right off and go set it down somewhere. All right, we're gonna just let that sit overnight and then we can finish it up tomorrow. Next, we're going to round over the corners of these pieces using a combination of a bandsaw and a sander. So Kat is just marking the lines of where we want to round it to. So now what you're going to do is use the bandsaw and you're going to cut along this line, but you don't want to cut the line, you want to cut on the outside part of it, and then we'll keep the line and then finish it up on the sander to make it perfectly on the line. Okay, so you just cut around there. And then flip it around, and cut around there. And just be careful, go slowly. Okay, and the on switch is right there. Good luck! Hold it flat. Hold it flat, okay. Let it level.
How should I do this one? Like this?
You do it like that,
Or just turn?
flip it over, this is easier to control. I was telling her she needed to be on the left-hand side of the disc. Otherwise, if she's on the right-hand side, the way that it's rotating, it would lift the piece off the table. You want to be on the left side where it's pushing it downward. Now that we've got all this sanded, we're going to run it through this roundover bit. This is a 1/2-inch roundover bit, so it's going to put quite a bit of rounding on here, which I think will look pretty cool because this is really rounded too. All right, so you only push it through on this side because the router bit is coming this way. If you did it on that side, it would pull you, okay? So you want to go against it. And just go slowly, and you want to push the wood up against this bearing. And that's what's going to control how far you go, okay?
Cool.
All right. Okay, we're going to use this piece of maple to make the dowel, and the hole that we drilled is 1 5/8 inches, so we're going to make this just a little bit smaller in diameter than that, but just a hair. And the way you do this, when you turn on the lathe, it's going to spin around. It's coming around this way. You hold this gouge on this rest, and you'll just move it back and forth, and just ease it into the wood very slowly. So I'll start just to show you. Just put it in very slowly. Don't get scared. It's pretty easy. You're just doing that a whole bunch of times. Okay? And eventually it'll start to become round after you get all these corners off. And then it gets easier. Okay? You gotta wear the face mask, face shield, and this is your first time doing it, so just take it easy. Okay? Hold this with your other hand and put your finger here so that you have the same, and pull it back when we start. Okay, that's the button right there to turn it on and off. It's just under 1 5/8. That's exactly what we want. This one's a little tricky to use because it can catch easily. And it helps to smooth it. You can do a little bit of sanding. Take this piece of sandpaper, this is 100 grit. There's the piece here. Yeah, that's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. Check the other
We're
end.
perfect.
Your work is perfect. Let's put it on a slower speed. You can turn this knob here.
Now she's applying some paste wax so that the wooden pieces will rotate more freely.
Okay, so we've got holes in each end from the lathe. So run this through the table saw just a little bit to cut that hole off, and then we'll measure it to be, we cut the hole in the 2 pieces of wood to be 2 inches each. We'll make it a little bit shorter, so we'll cut it to be 3 3/4 of an inch, okay? So let's take these pieces, drop your handmade dowel into there. Does it fit?
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool. So you can move that and make it any angle you want. And put the glass tabletop on top. It's going to look pretty cool.
Cool.
So let's just go outside and apply some finish, and then you'll be done.
Awesome.
Okay, so for the first coat, we're just going to use this de-waxed shellac. We're going to brush it on everywhere, okay?
Okay.
And it dries pretty quickly, so that's good.
There's a wild animal here. Shoo, shoo.
We let that dry for about a half an hour, and then she lightly sanded it, and then she sprayed on some lacquer. All right, Kat, show us how it goes together.
So put the dowel into the hole, like so, very easy. And then put this side that has the hole down into the dowel. Make it any size you want. So we're gonna put it here.
All right, let's put the tabletop on.
Nice.
That is cool. So Kat did all the work. I'm going to take all the credit. This is just like IKEA, but better.
Better. My Kia.
My Kia, I like that. So we're thinking of making a deck for this house as well. Let me know, I don't know if I should do a video for that. Let me know if that's the type of thing you're interested in, or should I just stick with finer woodworking? Let me know in the comments below. So I gotta ask, would you make it?